are so excited to be here. My name is Scott Hawes.
And I'm Matt Rollins, and together we are Narrate Media.
Matt and I combined have nearly 35 years experience in television and broadcasting and media and videography. I've spent the last 17 years as a news anchor and reporter and journalist with NBC and CBS stations around the country, also as a writer and a producer. Matt is pound for pound and inch for inch the best editor and videographer in the world, award-winning, and we are also lighting technicians, sound technicians. But when you boil it all down, in the end, we're storyographers. We are professional storytellers. And our preferred medium to tell a great story is video.
That's right, and we're so excited today to have this opportunity to talk about the power of video. Today we're going to go over a few things and show you why you should be using it in your marketing, how impactful it can be, and how you can start using it in your marketing right away with some very simple tools.
And speaking of the hows, Matt and I are actually videoing this so that we can send you a nice little piece afterwards so you can remember some of the highlights of this conference. And so Matt's going to step down and do that for a few minutes while I take an opportunity to talk a little bit more about the story. Now, every single one of you has a story. I had a chance to play golf yesterday with Deborah and Steve. They're up here. They're from Cabo. And Deborah's from a small town in Wyoming. Steve's from Oklahoma. And they've lived in Cabo for about 20 years. I found out they're actually Mexican citizens now. There's more to that story, and I hope to find out a little bit more about their Cabo lifestyle. But every single one of you have a story. In fact, I know it's pretty common to tuck your phones away during these events. Grab your phone if you have it accessible. Grab your cell phone, okay? And I want you to go ahead and look at your photo gallery. And I want you to pull up the last photo on your cell phone. The last photo on your cell phone. Okay? Now, some of you, I'm going to ask a few of you to share what that photo is. Others, you may use some caution, especially if you were in Chad's group last night, to share those photos. All right? Who would like to volunteer quickly their last photo? Just tell us, okay, right over here. Tell me your name. Sally, from where? From Florida. She's lost her voice. What's on your phone? What's the last picture? A sunset from last night? Okay. Who else has that sunset from last night? Right? And so you've probably shared that or posted that with other people, and that sunset tells a story because you'll look at that picture now and it tells you where you were, what you were doing in Scottsdale. People are, why were you in Scottsdale? What was going on with that? Who else has a photo over here? Go ahead. Tell me your name first.
My name is Gary.
Gary from?
Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills. What's on your phone?
I have a picture of my two little kids from 2 days ago on the North Shore in Kauai.
North Shore of Kauai with your...
Their backs and the ocean and the sky.
So, and why, obviously, did you take that picture?
I think we were in Kauai. And I saw my kids and view the whole bit.
So when you look at that one photo, that photo is going to tell you a story. It's a photo about your family, being together, about Hawaii. I mean, those memories all from one simple photo. My phone, for example, has this picture of, my wife sent this yesterday. It's the last photo on here. It's of the 1.5 feet of snow that we got in Salt Lake City yesterday. And she attached this photo with a little text that said, I spent 3 hours digging out the cars and shoveling the driveway. I hope you're having fun playing golf. So I have, this is the guilt trip photo, right? I owe my wife big time. But that's what that photo says. So every one of us has a story indeed. Every place, every property has a story. This hotel has a story. Who knows what street this hotel is on? Who can remember? Some of you MapQuested and came here. East Crescent Moon Drive. Was that just a random name that they picked? So East Crescent Moon Drive, this actually used to be the Crescent Moon Ranch, owned by the Kellogg family. And in the 1940s, East Coast families who had some money would send their daughters out here, and imagine what this place looked like in the 1940s. This was the Wild West. They would send their daughters out here, and this was actually a finishing school right here on this property. And then in the 1990s, the Four Seasons purchased this property, and in December of 1999, this property opened up as the Four Seasons Scottsdale. This place has a story. I mean, the chairs you're sitting in have a story. Look at this. This is lean back in your chairs, okay? Lean back in your chairs, rock a little bit, okay? Pretty comfortable, right? That's not just a chair. You're sitting in a Gasser chair from Youngstown, Ohio, an American-made chair, a third-generation company. Now, three brothers, the Gasser brothers, said we are going to make the best chair. Now, in the 1960s, they started making chairs for the casinos to sit in front of slot machines in Lake Tahoe. But the one thing they noticed after a few years is that the chairs were really getting worn on the edges. And so George Gasser said, I've got to come up with something. So he came up with an extruded vinyl edge, and he patented it, and it's called the Protective Edge. And so now they've put a 10-year guarantee. It's right here on the bottom of this chair. This chair is guaranteed for 10 years. And this is now called the Trademark Collection. You're all sitting in a Gasser Trademark Collection chair. And every time you see a chair and you see this edging, which is trademark and patented, you will remember, hey, is that one of those chairs that crazy guy was talking about in Scottsdale? That's a Gasser chair. There's a story there. So if there's a story in this property and there's a story in your chair, there is a story with every one of your clients and every one of your properties. Every single one of them has a story. And first you need to find it, and then you need to be able to tell that story. And that's what we're doing today, is showing you the power of the video and why video is the best opportunity and mode and means to tell a story. When you take a closer look, video indeed tells a story. And here's an example. This will be a story, exactly.
It starts dark.
There you go. Let me rewind out of that and see if we get that reloaded again. Will you just go ahead and refresh that real quick? Okay, so we have a couple examples here. This is what I do on a daily basis. I ad-lib on the fly. When things don't go right in live television, you make it work. You find out how to make it work. But what we want to talk to you today is we not only want to talk to you about why video is so important, but also we want you to leave today with a toolbox. A toolbox of things that you can go ahead and right now, with the tools that you have and that you own, you can start to implement in your own campaigns, strategies, properties on a one-on-one basis with your clients or as a company-wide, whatever your situation might be. That's what we want to be able to provide today. So we've got some examples of how we're going to do that. Are we ready back there by chance, Matt? Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I want to tell you a story about my last photo bomb.
Yes, please.
So it's a photo shoot event that's happening this weekend. And there's going to be a makeup artist, and we're going to do videos of professionals, and it's an open house, and we did it a couple weeks ago. It was just over the top, and ironically, it was a home that Concierge auctioned off.
Which home was that? Do you remember? Where's it at?
It's in Paradise Valley.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other pictures? We good? Okay. So let's get back to where we were telling about how video tells a story. And this is one example as to why.
Ship my pants. Right here? Ship my pants, you're kidding.
You can ship your pants right here.
You hear that? I can ship my pants for free.
Wow, I just may ship my pants.
Yeah, ship your pants. Billy, you can ship your pants too.
I can't wait to ship my pants, Dad.
I just shipped my pants, and it's very convenient.
Very convenient.
I just shipped my drawers.
I just shipped my nightie.
I just shipped my bed. If you can't find what you're looking for in store, we'll find it at Kmart.com right now and ship it to you for free.
That's a Kmart. Now, Kmart, there are 12 edits in that video. It took them a couple of hours to shoot that. They hired a few actors or possibly employees. They already had the space at the Kmart. All right, so rather than just sending out an email blast that says, we will ship your pants, or any item that you can't find, or putting it on a mailer or a catalog, which you would see that it doesn't resonate with you, this video has over 20 million views. Just because they took a creative idea and they used the power of video. Now, I guarantee some of you who have not seen that are either right now or will afterwards contact your friends or someone and say, I just shipped my pants. And you're going to let people know about that video. You're going to share it. Now, if I would have told you a story about how Kmart ships their items, was that something you would share or tell anybody about? No. There's nothing memorable about that. Nike is a company that has made a fortune off of using video to tell a story.
Greatness, it's just something we made up. Somehow we've come to believe that greatness is a gift, reserved for a chosen few, for prodigies, for superstars, and the rest of us can only stand by watching. You can forget that. Greatness is not some rare DNA strand. It's not some precious thing. Greatness is no more unique to us than breathing. We're all capable of it. All of us.
What's the first thing that video actually used in terms of your senses? What's the first thing? The sound, right? And your sight. You heard something, and they finished that as well. When I was telling you about the chairs, sure, there was a story there, but I was telling you a story. You weren't using all of your senses. You could almost smell that road. You could hear the crickets. You could hear the pounding of the pavement. There was a story there, and they used one video clip. No edits. It was one shot with one guy. I could have told you about this guy who got up right at dusk, decided to go run. He's trying to lose weight, his personal battle against whatever. I could have told you that story, but nobody's going to remember that. You remember this. You'll remember that. And that's why video is so powerful. And I have one more example right here. Take a look at this. We all just witnessed the power of video. We could end our presentation right now. You get it. You get it. What image will stand in your mind from this video moving forward? Most of you will probably never forget this video for the rest of your life. What are some images, what are moments in that video that stand out to you? The hug?
Of the son who's seen his father again.
Okay. Love it. Who else? What else stood out?
The man getting highlights.
The man getting highlights. Absolutely.
He sat up straighter.
Posture changed.
Yeah.
What other image stood out?
When he looked in the mirror.
When he looked, that was for me. I mean, that shock when he looked in the mirror and saw himself and that he had transformed, I'll never forget that image. I'll never forget that feeling that I had inside. And I could have stood here and told you a story about a veteran who sat in a chair and they did a makeover and it was really cool. And you should have seen his face when he looked in the mirror. It doesn't have that effect, does it? Instead, how many words did you hear in this video? None, right? You just heard music, which was powerful in this. You had a powerful story. You had a simple camera that was showing time-lapse and then some text. I mean, who wanted to donate? I mean, some of you were pulling out your phone and trying to look up that to donate after that. That's how powerful video is. And this is a phenomenon that we've started to see over the last, witness over the last few years. Let's take a look at some of the numbers. It's the YouTube phenomenon. 1 billion unique users visit every month YouTube. 1 billion. 100 hours uploaded, not every day, not every week, every minute, 100 hours of video uploaded to YouTube. 6 billion hours of video is viewed each month, and what's impressive about that? A 50% increase from last year. 6 billion hours, that's almost an hour of video for every person every month who's on the earth. I mean, that is just astronomical. It reaches more 18 to 34-year-olds than any cable channel. Talking about YouTube. Okay, we see actually how much is being viewed. Well, by 2017, internet video traffic will be 69% of all global consumer traffic. 2017 is not far away. We all know how fast the years clip by. That is around the corner. 189 million people in the United States watched 46 billion online content videos in the month of September, just a few months ago. That boils down to the average American spending almost a day watching online videos during the month of September. 20 hours. Almost an entire day watching videos. Online video is the fastest growing ad format with 55% increase from the year before. Now, Matt and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of walk in the day in the life of storyographers. How do we make this happen, and what are some things that we can help you take away today that will help you tell the story about your property, about your clients, whatever that story might be. So we wanted to show you, this is actually one of our most recent videos. Some of you may have seen the Jordan video that we did to Michael Jordan's house north of Chicago. Now, when Matt and I arrived on a Thursday morning, really we only knew a few things about the property. I mean, we'd heard this and that, but really it came down to 3 things. We knew that it was Michael Jordan's house. We knew it was 56,000 square feet. And we knew that there was a basketball court. We also knew there were 19 bathrooms in there, but what do you do with that, right? There's a story there, but I don't know how you tell that. So that's what we knew. So Matt and I knew right out of the gates that there's got to be some other stories here. We couldn't just put a video together and say, hey, Michael Jordan's house, 56,000 square feet. Some people watch it, but it's not very compelling. It's not going to elicit those reactions and responses that you just felt in the videos that we just watched. Whether it's joy, whether it's excitement, whether it's sincerity, whether there's something there, that's not going to do it. So there were a couple areas we said, okay, how about the basketball court? What can we do on the basketball court? Rather than just show a basketball court and say, hey, this is Michael Jordan's personal basketball court. Take a look, it's got his name on it. Really cool. Great. What can we do? This is what we came up with. Now this is what I'm talking about. I mean, listen to that sound.
circle, puts the shot in the air. Good! The game's over, and the Bulls have won. Jordan beat him at the buzzer with a jump shot in the circle, and Chicago.
And that shot, you know what I'm talking about. Game 6, Utah Jazz over Brian Russell. I'm thinking there's a pretty good chance Jordan had already rehearsed for that exact moment right here. It was really hard for me to put that in because I was at that game. I'm a Salt Lake Jazz or Utah Jazz guy, and I was in Salt Lake at that game, and the air just left the entire arena when he hit that shot. But did you feel a little bit something there? I mean, that was a different experience. You realize that what the magic of Michael Jordan that you saw and witnessed for years on the basketball court grew out of that court at his house. I mean, that's a story. Who played on that court? Can you imagine the hours, the shots? I mean, he practiced that shot most likely right there on that court. So that was how we decided to showcase that gym, other than just putting in a video and saying, hey, Michael Jordan's house, there's a cool gym in there. There you go. So there was another story that we stumbled onto as we talked to and kind of peeled back some of the layers of the Jordan property. And this is what we found when we went a little bit deeper.
And nobody would think that the greatest player to ever play the game will put in that much work before he gets on the court. It was amazing to watch. It was amazing to witness.
Randy Brown is talking about the Breakfast Club. The current assistant general manager of the Chicago Bulls won 3 titles with Jordan and was part of a group of players who would regularly train at Jordan's home.
It really started off with Michael, he and Tim Grover, and it kind of spilled over to Scotty, Ron Hopkins, and myself.
They were practicing with the rest of the team.
They were intense.
But where did the name Breakfast Club really come from?
The chef was there. You know, it was easy for, us to go work out and then have breakfast with his chef.
But things have changed since the days of the Breakfast Club. And we love that part of the story because we actually, talking to people, talking to Randy Brown, there were a lot of people in the know who were connected to the Breakfast Club that felt that one thing that Michael Jordan did at his house, which is the property that we're featuring here, helped the Bulls get over the hump. They had lost the Eastern Conference Finals year after year to the Detroit Pistons. And they were finding out in those series that they were in Game 4 and 5, they were tired. And so Michael said, we got to do something. So he started inviting the players over. So did the Breakfast Club actually contribute significantly to the Bulls' 6 titles? I think so. And did that house play a role in that? Absolutely. And is that a story that we were able to tell? Absolutely. It was right there. We just had to find a way to tell that story. And that's what we did with this property that was a lot of fun for us to do. Now, another thing about video, we've already talked about why video is so effective, and you've seen that. But it also tells a bigger story, not just about the particular property, but also about the people and their experience, what they're doing. So again, using the Jordan video as an opportunity, you can take a look. There are so many tools out there that show you the analytics of what people are doing. So the Jordan, for example, the Jordan video between October 31st and November 30th had 2,231 mentions, meaning people in some form of social media shared something about that video. Whether it was Jordan, Illinois, basketball, whatever it was. They posted it on one of their social media accounts. Okay? And it actually breaks it down. Twitter was 63% of that. Over 1,400 mentions on Twitter about this experience that people were having while watching this video. Facebook, again, over 21%, 488 mentions. News sources would be your Wall Street Journals, your New York Times, your NBC, CNBC, whatever it might be. All the way down to Google and YouTube. But here's what's the impactful part of this, okay? Original mentions about your brand, in this case it was Concierge Auctions and Michael Jordan and his house, had a potential of reaching, through those 2,000 plus mentions, 7,642,979 people between October 31st and November 30th. Now the retweets and the shares added almost another million, so almost 8.5 million people. That was the reach from one video. So you can glean this information from a video. That's what video gives you, because it's actually like a waypoint on a GPS. It actually tells you something. We can follow and know, you can know how many people watched a video, how long they watched it, where they went after that video. That is great information as you're trying to figure out how interested they are a real potential buyer. Are they just a casual looker? Or is this somebody who's perhaps a seller? I mean, how many of these people, they're not buyers necessarily, but maybe they know somebody who's a buyer or a potential seller. Maybe they have a property and they see what you're doing and they say, I want to be with that person right there. Some other information that you can glean, for example, you can find out who your biggest influencers are. So look at the followers over here. The New York Post, over 500,000 followers. So for those of you who aren't big Twitterites, okay, that means that one tweet that goes out from the New York Post, there are 509,211 people that get that tweet. And their tweet on this was, check it out. Inside the gates of Michael Jordan's Highland Park, Illinois Palace, up for auction starting at $29 million. Okay? That's the post that went out. Now, if you know who your influencers are, you can interact with them. You can go ahead and tweet the New York Post, or you can contact them and say, hey, we are Concierge Auctions, or we're the listing agent for this property. Did you know that? And you can let them know more information. And obviously the goal is that they would help dispense that information. So again, it gives you an opportunity to actually interact with your influencers and know who they are. And beyond that, it gives you an opportunity to know what keywords, because when you're putting in a video and you're uploading it to YouTube, you have to put in search terms. What search terms are good? So for example, on this Michael Jordan video, you would think Michael Jordan would be the first one. It's actually third. The first one was Illinois. That was the first mention that picked up over 13% of the traffic. Then you had luxury auction. You like to see that, right? You like to see luxury and when they're talking about a property. Then it was Michael Jordan, auction, Michael, and Highland Park. This is kind of a graph that shows you those words and gives you an idea of the swath that each one of those kind of brings into focus. And you can also find out the trending hashtags. You can see that number 23, hashtag 23, hashtag Michael Jordan were popular. Trending keywords, Michael Jordan, home, Israel. I have no idea what. Don't know why that jumped in there, but for some reason Israel had 299 trending keywords on that. Trending URLs. This is really important information. Again, you can glean because of a video. If you don't have a video, there's no way to get this information. You can find out the top URLs. YouTube was one of them. Concierge Auctions was one of them. Amazon.com was one of them. abclocal.go was one of them. And redeyechicago.com. All of those were the top URLs. So, Jordan at a glance, when it launched that it was going to auction, it was big news. I mean, all of you saw it hit the AP, you saw it hit the wires, the Wall Street Journal obviously did a focus on it, New York Times picked it up, CNBC picked it up, news stations, outlets, media outlets, websites all over picked it up. The Today Show. Who's seen the Today Show, obviously, right? Everybody's seen the Today Show. Willie Geist did a story. He was the only other person that came on the property and did a story. Laura had her 5 seconds, 8 seconds of fame, literally, in that story. Okay, so the Today Show posted that video online afterwards. Guess how many views that video has from the Today Show? Again, a behemoth in the news industry, a behemoth in terms of information. How many views does that video have as of just a few hours ago when we uploaded our presentation here? 1,117 views. Okay? 1,117 views. Not bad. Okay, that's what it had in terms of people who may have seen it on the Today Show when it happened live, may have seen Laura's. I think at least 1,000 of those are because Laura was in the video, personally. All right? But that's what the Today Show's version of that had. The version that we did, which was almost 3 times longer, which is difficult to get people to stick around. Their video was about 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. Ours was over 8.5 minutes. And we knew people were sticking along all 8.5 minutes because people were commenting on Nick's last second shot or his shot there that he made. So we know people watched all 8.5 minutes. As of just a few minutes ago, our last total of views on that video was 2.65 million. And I'm not sharing that to, I mean, Michael Jordan, obviously it's Michael Jordan, right? That's the brand. We knew that it had that potential. But Willie Geist in the Today Show had that potential. So all I'm trying to show you is what's the difference between those two stories, between what resonated with people on one and what didn't resonate with people on the other. It was the story. There was a story there with the property. If you watch Willie's video, and I love Willie, I know Willie, It was all about him dunking a basketball in Michael's court. It was about Willie. It was about Willie coming to the property, put on a Michael Jordan jersey, and everybody's like, oh, you could actually dunk still. Way to go, Willie. It had nothing to do with the property, really. There was no connection emotionally to that video. And it shows in the numbers. That's what's so great about the numbers, is that you can see if people care. If they like it, they share it, they watch it, they view it. It was on the front page, the video that we teamed up with Concierge on. It was on the front page of Yahoo. It was on the front page of the usatoday.com. I mean, it went viral within about a week's time. And we were climbing days where the views were 100 to 250,000 views per day. And that's because, again, Matt and I feel that we were able to find the story involved in that. And that's really what it boils down to. So that is a little bit of the why is video so important, and the fact that all of you have access to great stories, and video is the premium way to share that. Now we need to talk a little bit about the hows. How do you tell a good story? So I'm going to go kick back in my gasser chair over here and relax while Matt tells you a little bit about the hows when it comes to video.
I tell you what, it's pretty fun working with a guy that can get so excited about learning about chairs. You should have seen him researching. It was pretty fun. But Scott painted a great picture of why video is so important in marketing and how you can leverage that to enhance your personal brand, your company's brand, the brand of the house or the property you're trying to sell. And I have the opportunity today to talk about some of the tools you can start using right away, some methods you can start using, and incorporating some video into your marketing. So start off with building the story. Scott emphasized how important the story was. So the story, has to start somewhere, and let's start at the very beginning. First thing to really dig into and sink in when producing videos, engage your audience. They were saying it was a ridiculous amount of videos being uploaded to YouTube every minute, every second. And when you produce a video, you have to make it stand out. From the first frame to the last frame. Like those examples we saw. They sucked us in. They held us. And they're very simple tools we can all use to suck people into our videos. And so when we, ground zero, we get a property, okay, this is great potential to start, to have a video for this property. So you go in your head, okay, the basics, the square footage, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, of course the location. And it would be very easy to just, okay, let's just list those things, let's tell them what they are. But with video and the tools you have, it's a fantastic opportunity to tell that story a little differently. It's an opportunity to hook those viewers and bring them into your video. We had an opportunity on a shoot in Dallas to shoot this home. It was called the M Mansion. It's a pretty cool looking house. When we got there, we just kept saying, wow, this house has such a cool vibe to it, a great energy. How can we really express this to the people that are interested and watch our video? So we kicked around a few ideas and we came up with this concept. So by implementing, all of those basics of the property into a really fun presentation, it really captured the feel of the house. And we were able to cram a bunch of video into that short 30 seconds. You were able to get a really great overview of the property. It's almost like a tease. Hey, stick around. We have a lot more to show you. So there's just, and that was just one way of doing it. You know, it was kind of a funky feel, but if it's you know, a totally different house, you know, classical music or something like that. You know, music is 50% of the battle when you are creating videos like this. And it's just fantastic that you have complete control. You can craft this feeling from the very beginning to let people feel these great things. And one thing I think we can all learn from great storytellers out there, some of the greatest storytellers are, of course, movies. I'm sure we all love movies, have our favorite movies. We love to talk about scenes that just, you know, that really touch us, that we love to talk about. And one of the great things about movies, these guys, all the screenwriters and directors and producers have kind of figured out a formula. You know, all the movies are different, but they actually all follow a very similar path. And that's this. You can see this is a very simple, like, plot structure of a movie. When you're watching a movie, it is very important. As, you know, starts off, you know, kind of mellow at the beginning of the movie, and then it starts to build, and you get a peak right there. It's almost like a payoff. Okay, thanks for watching, you know, here you go. And then it kind of calms down and it builds up again. You need those peaks and valleys when telling a great story. It's kind of the payoff to your viewer. So this is a great way to when you start your storytelling, you know, start thinking about, that'd be a great peak. That'd be a great peak. And work it into your story. And, you know, in Indiana Jones, it's, you know, a battle with a gunman or, you know, a fight on a tank. But you can turn those peaks when you're talking about a property into the location, into this amazing bathroom or into this amazing view. You can do this same structure with real estate. That's what's so great. So now we move to the one thing. This is another way you can think when you're developing a story, when you're making your video for real estate. So the one thing, a lot of us in this room have had the opportunity to deal with some amazing properties. And that list of, you know, the one thing, it's probably very, very hard to find the one thing because these houses have a lot of things going for them. But it's a good exercise and to keep yourself challenged to always keep digging down on finding that one thing. So it's amazing house on the beach. The location's fantastic. Top finishes, you know, just amazing access to everything. But challenge yourself to keep digging down to what makes that property so unique, that one thing. And then when you get to that one thing, keep peeling back the layers. That is what makes the great story. If it is the view, find out what makes the view so great. Is it just spectacular a certain time of day, certain time of year? Is it what you see? Is it who you can enjoy it with? Find that and tell that story. It's just people appreciate the deeper things, especially with homes. When you can dig down that deep, it really makes an impact with them. And an example, we were in Jackson Hole, and an amazing property. But we decided to focus on one of the elements within that property, you know, you could never see from the outside. But this is what we did with it.
But perhaps one of the most amazing features of this property is just behind these doors. Not only is this a wine cellar and your own tasting room, this is your private tunnel to the garage and guest quarters, keeping you out of all of the elements. There's nothing quite like this in all of Jackson.
So pretty cool, you know, a tunnel. You don't have to spend a ton of time on it, but you know, you can use that as one of those peaks to build up and get to. Here is another example of digging down really deep and finding that one thing.
George Washington and James Madison, two presidents of the United States, walked right through this doorway. Tusculum has seen everything from hosting future presidents.
This was his study on the right, where he taught Madison French, which was a disaster because he with the wrong accent.
being raided by redcoats.
They had a day and a half notice, and he had to leave all of his animals.
But one of Tusculum's treasures is undoubtedly this barn, built in the 1830s out of argillite stone. This same stone is found on several of the Princeton buildings. But inside, oh, take a look at it. Come on in here. Oh, the smell, the beamwork, everything has been reinforced by cables and steel girders. It's no wonder this was recognized as one of New Jersey's 10 most interesting buildings.
People love to come to Tusculum. They love to come to the barn. And I have everything set up in the house, and it's gorgeous with hors d'oeuvres and the pianist, and it's very elegant and everything. I'll say, we want to go to the barn. It's just a wonderful, embracing place. People feel happy here.
Right? A barn. How exciting is that? But to this day, it's one of my favorite spots we've highlighted. It was fantastic. Another huge element with that property was the history. The history was just amazing. It was insane. So we thought, okay, that is that one thing. So how can we, dig down a little deeper instead of just using old pictures and things like this. So we did some digging, and the gentleman you saw in that video, he was a member of a local historical society. So we gave him a call, and he said, hey, what do you know about this Tusculum house? And he's like, well, I know of it, and I know some of the history. Was like, well, have you ever been here? He's like, no. So we invited him out, and we had the owner show him around the house, and they just told stories, and we were just a fly on the wall, and we let it all unfold, and we got some just great material. So now we get to the toolbox. These are things all of you can start doing right away to start using video in your marketing. So right off the top, we talked about this, what's the story? Just really focus on the story. What is the story of this property? Next, just start creating. You might see some videos and they'll look discouraging, like, oh my gosh, they can't do this. Don't let that get in the way. You guys have everything you need right now. Scott had you hold up your phones earlier. Most phones take absolutely amazing video. So just start creating, start playing, start making your stories. And there's some silly words up here, but they will make sense. So use what you have. You don't have to, go crazy, and it has to be this amazing production. Like we said, it can be the most simple things that make the biggest impact. That's what's up to you, to use video, to craft something, to make it amazing. These are actually some apps you can download straight on your phone. There's VisiWig, Magisto, Video Shop, YouTube. So if you're shooting video, you can edit it, add some graphics and things like that. Another extremely powerful tool is just YouTube. Once you have your video and you upload it to YouTube, there are actually really amazing tools that YouTube provides. A basic editor to cut up your video. It actually allows you to stabilize your video if it's a little shaky, to add music, to add graphics and things like that. And then another really important, Scott emphasized this, figure out, how to start sharing your video, how to get it out there. So, Vine, Instagram, has anyone heard of these? Yeah, pretty popular. And you probably wouldn't have really thought to use those to market a property. Vine's shtick is, it's a 7-second video max. So you have 6 to 7 seconds to shoot a video, and then once you have it, it's really easy to post on social media and share. So that's actually a really great challenge to get to that story really quick and tell that amazing one thing element in 6 seconds, and then just share it. Same with Instagram. It's a lot like Vine, but you have a little more time. I think it's like 15 seconds. But those are really great tools to start using and start sharing. And then of course, email. I'm sure all of you have checked your email like 20 times since you've been here. And you could incorporate your current video, or you could create a video business card, embed it in your, on your signature, at the bottom of your email. There are so many ways you can use video. And also a really good idea is just create your own YouTube channel. Get on there, start exploring, and you'll realize it's almost like another language. You realize how people talk. They share what works, what they should try next time, and things like that. So It's kind of, you'll learn some new words and things like that. So just real quickly, I'd like to kind of start from the ground up. Maybe take the perspective of, actually implementing the power of video. So I have a little demonstration here I'd like to share. So here we have just a picture. Great picture, beautiful house, blue skies, nice and bright. Now we're going to add the video element. So a lot more engaging, right? A lot more fun to watch. It really brings you in, just that added movement. Now some music, like I said, you can pick the music, you create the mood. It's a historic house, it feels a little historic to me. Now right here, we can implement some graphics, point out a brand or whatever you'd like to in your graphics. Bring it all together, and now we're gonna add some on-camera talent.
Welcome to Princeton, New Jersey, and welcome to Tusculum. Built in 1773 by John Witherspoon, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. More than 23 acres, and all of Tusculum's rich history go to auction November 7th.
So I think the first thing to remember about using video, it's fun. You are the director. You get to create your own movies. It's your creation. You take the puzzle pieces and arrange them the way you want to. And your final puzzle may be fantastic. Your first view may be a disaster, but you're always learning. And that's absolutely the most important part, is just have fun with it. There's so many different things you can do. You assemble the puzzle based on how you want to do it. So that was a clip from our Tusculum video, and I think I'll go ahead and roll it for you. We'll see if we have time to, we'll have a few minutes to watch it, and you can just kind of see it in action and how it works.
Welcome to Princeton, New Jersey, and welcome to Tusculum. Built in 1773 by John Witherspoon, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. More than 23 acres, and all of Tusculum's rich history go to auction November 7th. Legendary. In the next few minutes, we reveal Tusculum's role in the birth of America.
George Washington and James Madison, two presidents of the United States, walked right through this doorway.
And restoring history.
There's always something that can be done.
The owner shares how she breathed new life into Tusculum. Plus, unlocking the doors to the building you just can't find anywhere else. Just 1 mile from Tusculum, Princeton University, which is an important part of Tusculum's history because John Witherspoon was actually recruited here in 1768 to be the 6th president of Princeton University, which at the time was known as the College of New Jersey. That's Nassau Hall right there. And while here, Witherspoon built Tusculum and eventually moved there full time and continued his work as one of the greatest influencers of the Revolutionary period. In fact, during his tenure here, he tutored 9 of the signers of the U.S. Constitution, including James Madison, 4th President of the United States, and a Princeton grad. We're standing right here at the corner of Nassau Street and Witherspoon Street, the entrance to Princeton University. Witherspoon would commute back and forth between Tusculum and Nassau Hall, which at the time was the largest building in the colonies and home to the Continental Congress for 6 months in 1783. One of my favorite stories here about John Witherspoon is his daughter Franny, who used to light a candle up here in the southeast rose window. When Witherspoon saw that all the way from Princeton, he knew it was time to come home.
Then they put their own handmade nails all over the house.
Centuries old and still standing strong, Tusculum has seen everything from hosting future presidents.
This was his study on the right, where he taught Madison French, which was a disaster because he put the wrong accent.
To being raided by redcoats.
They had a day-and-a-half notice. He had to leave all of his animals.
Tusculum has had 14 different owners, including Tom and Avril Moore. The Moores bought Tusculum in 1996 and pumped millions into a total restoration of the 5,000 square foot original Witherspoon home, as well as adding in another 6,500 square feet of modern space.
Kind of dialogue that you have between the old spaces and the new spaces working together, I think that's what really makes it special.
The result? An historic home ready to entertain for the next 100 years. We're here with Jeff Clark. He's the architect who was tasked with restoring and adding on to this magnificent property, and you did a fantastic job.
Thank you, Scott. And you can see the masons, out of pride for their work, have inscribed their initials here. You can see LM and HH and the year 1773. This is the original 1773 stair. It's interesting, at the time this would have been referred to as a spiral stair. That's what they called them, even though they don't go in a circle.
Now the back of the house really gives us a sense of the blend between the old and the new, and really you can see, I mean, you got the stone from the original house right there. So truly whoever buys it is getting a deal.
Priceless, yes, absolutely.
Listed on the National Register of Historic Places, Tusculum offers so much more than just a Witherspoon house. There's a Cape Cod-style caretaker's cottage, an orchard and fishing pond, and all 23-plus acres are protected by a 60-acre park. But one of Tusculum's treasures is undoubtedly this barn, built in the 1830s out of argillite stone. This same stone is found on several of the Princeton buildings. But inside, oh, take a look at it. Come on in here. Oh, the smell, the beamwork, everything has been reinforced by cables and steel girders. It's no wonder this was recognized as one of New Jersey's 10 most interesting buildings.
People love to come to Tusculum. They love to come to the barn. And I have everything set up in the house, and it's gorgeous with hors d'oeuvres and the pianist, and it's very elegant and everything. I was like, we want to go to the barn. It's just a wonderful, embracing place. People feel happy here.
Obviously, Moore and Clark know how rare a possession Tusculum truly is.
Tells a great story about Americana.
With their fingerprints all over this storied property as they helped return it to all its original glory. But we wanted to get the raw reaction from someone who knows the importance of Tusculum and John Witherspoon, but maybe has never been here before. That's Dr. Matt Frank. He's a scholar at the Witherspoon Institute, and this is your first time. What do you think?
It's the first time I've been here. It's a gorgeous home. It's an extraordinary specimen of 18th century elegance. It really is a beautiful place. But it's really neat to have a place like this lived in. And I would just hope that, whoever does buy the place keeps it up as beautifully as we see it today.
And now that you've had your private Tusculum tour, it's time for Dr. Frank to see it.
Doctor, welcome. I'm Avril Moore.
Mrs. Moore, very pleased to meet you.
Welcome to Tusculum, and this is Chaucer, who's very excited to see you. This was the signing bonus house that the university promised through Benjamin Rush and Richard Stockton to build to Witherspoon, for Witherspoon, to get him to leave his parish in Scotland. And then this is a sample of one of the barn rafters that had come down, and you can see powder post beetle damage. That's authentic. And this is chestnut, and it's got the pegs still in it.
But the chance to peg this piece of American history is about to be history, as Tusculum, its stories, its treasures, and its legacy will sell to the highest bidder November 7th.
Well, it's an amazing place. To be this close to the center of town, to have a property this size, and a house of this significance all in one package, that's what really makes it special.
There's always something that can be found and discovered here.
So that was a fun, every property is so different and so unique. And I'm sure each one of you has a Tusculum that you have in your past or present or future. How many real estate videos have you seen that start off with a cannon? I mean, the story behind that, Jeff, who was the architect, he contacted us the actual Saturday that we were there and said, do you know that they're actually shooting off cannons in period clothing today? And they only do it twice a year. And it happened to be the day that we were there. Like, you're kidding me. Like, where is this happening? At the Princeton battlefield. We spent 45 minutes driving around trying to find where in the heck the Princeton battlefield is. We roll up to this place, we see them out there shooting cannons. We didn't know where it was going to play in the story. We just knew this was somehow, some way, we were going to find a way to incorporate it in the story. And that's a memorable part of this story that you guys now were able to experience.
Yeah, it was really fun creating, you know, again, that opening sequence to really hook them. It was almost, well, we crafted it like this, you know, this house is epic. Let's make it a movie trailer. So, you know, just let your imagination go wild. And who knows where it'll take you.
Yeah. So we know that there may be some of the toolbox things that we gave you. You can email us at info@narratemedia.com and we can send you a file that just has those bullet points if you'd like. But we want to open it up to questions. You guys have been great to talk to, and hopefully you've felt something powerful from the message and the time that we spent together today. But if you have questions, go ahead. Yes?
One thing I'm finding with the videographers is that they're doing things that might aesthetically look good, and you did a couple of them, and this might be my own personal thing, but feeling-wise, they make you feel uncomfortable, like it's the beginning of CSI or something. When they do like really fast cuts and going around like that, and intense music, I think consumers might subliminally not even realize we're on a cellular level, be uncomfortable. I'm sure you've thought about it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's a balance, and it's something to think about. And you think about your audience, and it just comes back down to that feeling you want to express. But you're right, there's a balance, and you definitely don't want to overuse it ever. There may be, you know, a moment and time to use it, but yeah, don't go crazy with it.
Yeah.
I worked with a couple of videographers where they literally forgot about what their intention was to sell a house.
Right. And the unique thing about that is that, as we mentioned, every property is unique, and we utilize different techniques. We use the drone differently, as you've seen in a couple examples here, that we fly through the houses. I mean, if in a room this big, we fly the drone. I mean, the drone is this big, we travel with it. We can get shots that you normally would have to hire a crew to bring in a jib and a boom and all that. And so we incorporate different things. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But it's a learning process for every single property. But the bottom line that we're trying to do is create some kind of an emotional connection. There's no way that someone's going to fly in from California to Princeton to go look at a property and potentially look at buying that property unless they've already connected with it. Every buyer that you have, they have to have an emotional connection before they plop down any money. There's got to be something that speaks to them about that property. And so we're trying. We don't know what it's going to be. It may be the gym at Michael Jordan's house. It may be the 19 bathrooms. It may be something about that house. But we're trying to cover as much of that to try to glean that. And so we hope we get the biggest net possible that creates that emotion that says, okay, I'm going to hop on a plane and I'm going to go see Tusculum. I'm going to go up to Jackson Hole and I want to go see Riva Ridge in person because something in there spoke to me. And most videos, they just give you some information and throw up some music, and there's nothing that speaks to you. And that's what we're trying to change.